What's going on, Brett?
Good. So I literally just opened my fortune cookie with my Chinese lunch, and that's what it says. It says life's a series of choices. Today, yours are good ones because you're here, sir. How are you?
That was nice. I'm great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. All right. So Friday, got the unique opportunity to spend some time with Gary Keller. He brought some interesting perspective that we're going to share a little bit on the industry update today. But how are you, sir?
We're good. We're good. What are you hearing is going on in the market, Brett? That's the big question.
Well, we're going to dive into it. So Gary certainly gave his perspective, and I want to kind of set the stage for our conversation today, Matt. You're going to have some people in the news media, right, far this side of the fence perspective, like, hey, the economics are going to go south. We're crashing. Depression's coming, recession's coming, all black hat stuff. And then you're going to have people on this side of the fence that say, oh, it's the best we're ever been, rose-colored glasses, all the above. Truth is, Matt, it's probably in the middle somewhere, right? And I actually think today we got two articles on either opposing perception. But the reality is, and this is the comment, is shift, right? And Gary said we really probably should pull this book out and reread it. And I think that scares some people. Nobody wants to talk about it. Is that a dirty word? All the above. But all of shift really is if we've been going this way and we're seeing a shift in direction. Sometimes when you're going down and it shifts in a positive direction. And really, you kind of see that in the analogy. I can see here, up, down, up, right?
Yep.
We're shifting right now. And we were at an all-time high. We're certainly not experiencing the same numbers so far in 2022 that we experienced in 2020 or 2021. We're slightly down, and it's just duly noted. All that being said, Matt, I want to give an analogy for a minute. And if you and I go to the beach, there's going to be waves that come from the depths of the sea to the shoreline, right? And there's going to be big waves and there's going to be small waves. And there's going to be people that go to the beach and partake in riding the wave, meaning they're either going to body surf it or ride some kind of board in. And in this analogy, the market's the wave. So the market's going to give us good months. It's going to give us bad months. It's going to give us good years. It's going to give us bad years. But at the end of the day, if we're the type person that rides the wave to the shore or rides the wave of the market dictates our experience, or the wave dictates our experience. Or Matt, if you were a surfer dude, you'd pick up a surfboard and you're going to go create your own experience based on whatever the wave gives you. And you might have a better experience if it's a big wave, or a different experience if it was a small wave. But if you're surfing the wave instead of just riding the wave, you're creating your own reality based on whatever the market's giving you. So one of the fun things about these industry updates is we're committed to being real, not trying to fluff anything. But I also want to remind everybody, grab a surfboard and create your own reality out of whatever's coming down the pipe, right? So if 6% interest rates make it across our table, create a reality out of that. If the market falls out 15%, create a reality out of that, right? Because top performers know how to surf the waves. Everybody else just rides the waves. So Matt, cap off what I'm saying. What's your perspective on that?
My perspective is the old question, do you want to have a great year or a great career? And the last couple years, I think most people have made decisions, financial decisions, on the best financial years of their life. And I think what I love about Gary is this may happen in 6 months or 3 years down the road, right? Some sort of recession, but it always happens. And all Shift is really doing, Brett, is preparing us the playbook to how we should be running our businesses
Yeah,
at a high level in any market whatsoever. And
100%.
even if that recession is, I don't know, 18 months. Sorry, I'm saying the R word, recession, but 18 months out, 2 years, we'll be thankful. What I heard is we'll be thankful that we go ahead and start preparing as if it was right around the corner in our
Yeah.
business.
So the comment Gary made, he said, listen, we're having an all-time great price appreciation. We're having an all-time great GDP. Oh, we're also having the all-time great inflation. And everybody at some level has to understand this can't go on forever. It'll have to change directions. And we're seeing that. And that's where the interest rates are climbing, inventory slowing down. We're expecting some kind of change in direction. Just be aware. And what does that mean? It just means that go grab that surfboard and create your own reality out of what's coming. And everybody's income goals are still achievable. You just have to maybe do some things a little bit different to get there. And that's really the perspective we're going at here. Well, let's dive into some numbers, Matt. So I'm going to just show the graphs this morning because I think it gives us perspective. So the blue line is active inventory, and you actually see the active inventory got a little tighter in Fulton County. In DeKalb County, it actually went quite a bit up. So active inventory as of this morning. Cobb County went on its way up. Gwinnett County tightened. Clayton County tightened. Douglas County really tightened. Fayetteville tightened. Henry County went up. Cherokee County went way up. Paulding way up. Bartow, too far over. What happened to my graph here? Oh, I'll have to get back to him, Bartow. Gordon, down, right? Floyd, why is my graph not showing that?
I'll share
There you
screen.
go. There you go. Floyd went down, Gordon went up, and Bartow went up, nope, back down. So at the end of the day, when you look at these, and I look at Fulton County, which is the largest county, and it's a little bit tighter, but you look at DeKalb or Cobb, and they're on their ways up. It just goes to show that real estate's hyperlocal. It's not the same everywhere. We're actually going to look at a statistic here in a little bit around affordability, and you're going to see it drastically different in different parts of the city. What do you make of it, Matt?
I mean, I think that was about as well said as you can, Brett. From one county to the next county 10 miles over, it's totally different stories the last couple of weeks, which hyper local markets determine everything. And I think fantastic example of the Atlanta market does not necessarily represent one trend or another week to week, which you showed very well there.
All right, let's go to this is the rose colored glass article. It said why housing may not get as hammered as usual in this rate hike cycle. What do you make of that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, if you read through the article, it's just talking about the amount of maybe rate hikes are not going to be the issue for home sales with so many investors out there. The number of sales should still be at a very high rate, according to this article, because so many investors who aren't influenced by rate hikes will be involved in a lot of these transactions, and a lot of homes will still get sold, which may offset some people not being able to get in the market for rate hikes. So it's kind of telling you maybe shift your business a little to the investor side at most.
Yeah, what interesting perspective I had when I read this article. 5 years ago, you would have a relationship with an asset manager, and you would you would post a bunch of listings from the seller side that were isolated from the market, if you will. Well, now you're going to have that asset manager from an investment fund that wants to do a bunch of buy side transactions.
Right.
And really, you just had to shift. Remember, there's our key word: is you shifted from being an asset manager seller agent to now you're an asset manager buyer agent, and you're shifting with the market. But at the end of the day, investors are least affected by this, and they're certainly active and hungry to get out there and buy property. But bottom line, this is the most interest rate sensitive sector of the economy, and it'll probably struggle in the first half of the year. Talking about the home purchase side. All right, then we go to the opposite side. This is the Black Hat, the world's falling apart article.
Side of the cliff.
The housing market's in the early stages of a substantial downshift. Home sales may drop 25% by the end of summer, according to this one analyst. And then they throw a picture of houses that fell off a cliff right here, right? I don't think it's going to be that drastic. I think we're certainly going to slow down some. If you look at annual pace of 6 million homes sold last year, he thinks it's going to drop to 4.5. I don't know that I'm agreeing with that, right?
Yeah, 25% is a drastic number. Supply and demand still there, jobs still there. We were 2% down last month over last year. That's pretty drastic in my opinion. I just don't see it in the statistics that we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big drastic number. I'm going to show something else here in just a second. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you look at this chart I popped up a couple of weeks ago, Matt, on the numbers that drive real estate. Last year in Atlanta, we sold 123,000 homes. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
That's saying we're going to go back to 100,000 in 2022,
right.
Which, by the way, that's what we sold in 2019 and 2020, which were good years. Very
good years.
So I don't think we're going to fall off that much. I think we'll land in the 115, 110,000 range. And I think it's just because of inventory. But if you can't make a great living in real estate out of 115,000 home sales in your city, we got another thing coming, right? But at the end of the day, I think it's important to point out topics sell articles, and they can back it up, I'm sure. But I do agree that we're moving into some kind of a shift. I don't know that 25% is the reality.
I agree.
All right. I popped up an article here, Matt, that is all about, it's from the Real Trends, and it's all about millennial home buyers. And it uses the census data from 2019. And they're saying millennials are 23 to 41. I think those ages are off a little bit. But here's what's important to know about this. 43% of the U.S. homebuyers are in that age demographic. What do you make of that?
It's a large chunk that are absolutely struggling, Brett, in that market. Large chunk.
Yeah.
And Brett, when do you see that? I mean, that's obviously a pain point. Where is the relief for that? What do you see over the next 5-10 years to aid with that opportunity, or is it just a thing of the past?
No, they're just going to buy homes with higher interest rates. They're going to buy a house from 9 months from now or a year from now. I think prices will slow down. And I think they're just going to end up in higher interest rate scenarios. And when they do that, it's going to affect their affordability, right? It affects debt to income ratio and all that stuff. So, the $300,000 house of 2 years ago is not the same $300,000 house today. And a buyer that was going to buy today for $350,000, what they're looking at on, your website or your KW mobile app isn't going to look the same 6 months from now for $350,000. And it's just setting expectations and managing expectations that, but
And I would say too, if you look at that number, 80%, so 23 to 41 millennials, 43%. I'm probably targeting that market.
yeah,
57 to 75, a lot of cash from retirement and equity buy down for years make up the other 42%.
nope, you're reading it wrong.
Oh,
43% of US home buyers are millennials. Baby boomers, 50, 70, 75 are 42% of the sellers.
that's what I meant.
All right, there you go. So it's important. Yeah, so I want to point that out, and I don't mean to correct you, but I want to be clear because I think the point I really want to get to in this article is, 5 years ago, Matt, real estate agents would write a newsletter, do postcards, and they'd mail everybody the same newsletter and everybody the same postcard. And they might gotten hyper local in a neighborhood. But with the age of digital marketing and digital advertising, there's this thing called targeting. And, pay-per-clicks target, Facebook ads target, social media advertising has target marketing. And if you're going to do digital marketing or digital advertising, something like this article and understanding where to put your money is really important. So in this context, Matt, if I was targeting ages 57 to 75-year-old people on Facebook, which we could laugh, but not really, because everybody's on Facebook these days, I'm going to have a home seller message.
Absolutely.
And if I'm targeting somebody 23 to 41, I'm going to have a home buyer message. And it just says that I know my data and it's smart marketing and it's smart. I'm putting my money in a place of probability. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, and great points on targeting. I love that. I think if you go down, it says 87% of home buyers finance their home purchase. However, the share of buyers who finance their purchase decreased as the age of buyer increased. 87% still financing, which is, I think, a pretty large number considering what we're seeing in the market currently.
Yeah, this is interesting. Almost 30% of young millennials receive a down payment gift.
Yeah, and that's been the case over the last couple of years.
But I'm telling you, I helped my stepdaughter buy a house, and instead of giving her a gift for down payment, I'm actually the purchaser side by side with her because we had to do it to get her into a house. So in the past, the parents would help their kids with a down payment. I think it's going to look different in the future. And that gift is getting bigger and bigger, right? But at the end of the day, it's important to just kind of study this kind of stuff. Gen X buyers, 42 to 56, are 22% of the home buyers and have the most expensive median home price, obviously, because they probably make the most money. And they had the highest median yearly income. So you're targeting based on data. And I think that's really important. Anything you'd add to that?
No, I thought it was really, that's a great article. I do have one graph I'll show at the end after you're done with your articles.
All right. So I wanted to touch on this. I like to touch on this every week. This is the 10-year Treasury note. You can see, let me go back to 1 month. So it's more drastic. You can see, get out there. It tailored down just a little bit over the last 7 days, right? So we're probably in a holding pattern on interest rates at the moment. It could change at the drop of a hat, but you're trying to predict which way interest rates are going. They're certainly on an upward trend, but in the last 7 days, we went up a little bit and now we're holding. So it's important to just kind of keep our eye on this because there's a lot of movement going on in interest rates. And if you go back and widen the scope, or let's go back 1 year, you can see that upward trend is really a big reason why that interest rate started to go up on the 10-year Treasury. All right. One other article that I wanted to bring to the table, Matt, was this article here. which is it's official. The Atlanta Fed deems metro area housing market unaffordable. And I want
What's
to
that
show
mean?
you how irresponsible that headline is in a minute. But where's this coming from? So affordability is the relationship between median income and median price house. So a 100 or 1% or whatever the ratio is, which is completely balanced, says the median income can buy the median house exactly. And that's perfect affordability. But if the median income can't buy the median price house, meaning it's more expensive than what the median income can buy, we're unaffordable. Or in the reverse, if there's surplus in the median income compared to the median price house, we're overly affordable, right? Well, what they're saying is for the first time in Atlanta, we've actually crossed the threshold to where you need more than the median income to buy the median price house. Here's something interesting. Basically, the annual payment for the median priced home in Atlanta, Sandy Springs, Alpharetta metropolitan statistical area now costs more than 30% of the local median income. What ratio do most of your lenders use, Matt?
What ratio, like debt to income?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. You tell me.
Well, FHA back in the day would go up to like 43, 44%. Most lenders like it under 40, but they use 30% for their statistics. So they actually use a very conservative low statistic to rate that. But at the end of the day, median income in Metro Atlanta was 73.5 and median house was 350. So it's important to understand that. The other thing is if it's 30% of the local median income, that has an assumption that if my lender says, Matt, you want to buy a house, your debt to income has to be below 40. So if the house was 30% of it, you've got 10% for your car, your credit cards, all the other stuff that shows up on your credit report to buy that house. So they probably play that factor in there a little bit. But I'm going to click on this link in the article. And when I do, it brings up this graph. And let me zoom way in here. So you'll see right here, it says index less than 100 equals unaffordable. You see that?
Yep.
So when we go around these counties, Fulton County dropped below 100 to 98.2, and that's why they got that. But if I go to DeKalb County, it's actually down to 86.5. That's real low, unaffordable, right? Gwinnett County's at 91.7, but I get up to Cherokee, it's very affordable in Cherokee. Bartow, very affordable. Paulding, very affordable. Cobb County is still affordable. Douglas County is still affordable. But the city properties, including Gwinnett, are deemed unaffordable, but it's still hyper local. So I think it's irresponsible for them to say Metro Atlanta is deemed unaffordable because it's very hyper local, right? Dawson County is extremely unaffordable too, but that's where people are buying second homes and that kind of thing.
Right.
So anyway, it's certainly something you need to know about your personal county and where you choose to do business. But you can see it over here. For the first time, the affordability dropped below 100, and that's where that headline is coming in. Make sense?
Makes sense. It's great.
Anything you'd add?
No, I mean, obviously, so with drastic increases in property value the last 18 months, you would expect some of this, right, Brett? I mean, with wages keeping up, for wages to be able to keep up with that is almost impossible. So, and I love how you said it. Looks like there's about 75% that are still well above for affordable. It's only a few counties in Metro Atlanta that actually have unaffordable.
So I want to just remind everybody while you're getting ready to share your screen that I don't think we're bringing a whole lot of super exciting news today, but I hope you're learning a lot. And my leadership brain, my leadership hat, my coaching persona says, I know the top 20% of our industry is going to know how to win in any market they're giving. And we're challenging and coaching up the 80% to think that way, because no matter what the market brings to our plate, we know how to win. You just have to learn how to navigate that. And that's really where we want to meet people, because I'm probably going to start teaching shift because it's the right prudent thing to do. But it's not a, hey, the sky is falling message. It's let's go figure out how to win in a shifted market. Matt, the screen is yours.
Last thing I'll share, and Gary talked a lot about this on Friday, Brett, but the question we've been getting for years is now a good time to buy, right? And so many of us face that. And he said something I really liked. He says, have you ever said, I wish I would have bought this property? Right? Have you ever said that?
Many times.
Have you ever not said that? No.
No.
So he drew this chart. I thought it was interesting. Kind of goes like this. And he says, all right, Brett, so which part of up do you want to invest in along these lines? Where do you want to invest? And is this a normal cycle?
Yeah, well, of course, you want to buy at the bottom and sell at the top, right?
Of course, yeah. So you say, hey, I'm going to buy here. I'm going to buy here, excuse me. This is where I want to ride it up to, right? Sell it at the top. So what you have to do when educating buyers around this, that they think that's how the timing of the market actually looks over the long term, right? But that's actually not really how the timing of the market works. This is more along the lines of how a market should go over time. And now this is over many, many years, right? And how wealth is created is in between these lines over time. And how that any time is really a good time to invest. That's not really the question you're asking. Should I buy a property now? The reason is why, because timing is a facade and real wealth is determined over the years by holding those properties, by general appreciation. Will you have up and down time periods? Absolutely. But I think it was a good way to show that this is not necessarily the up and down roller coaster of the good times and the bad times. It looks more along the lines of this graphic when showing clients over time. It's a great option to build wealth at any time.
Perfect. So regardless, any piece of property you hold on long enough is going to turn out good. So what I'm hearing you say, Matt, is all that the stock that I thought I was smart buying during the pandemic is now tanked. And as long as I hold on to it over time, it should be good, right?
It should be great.
I'll hold you to it. All right. Any questions before we get out of here on time? All right, Matt, great job. Thanks for being here. There's your industry update.
Thank you, guys.